Hey everybody, and welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today because we're going to unpack something that affects literally every single one of us, yet it's a subject almost no one actually sits down to teach you. Recent surveys suggest that over 70% of adults experience deep, recurring anxiety about their finances. It keeps us up at night, it strains our relationships, and it totally dictates our daily choices. So today, we're looking at the psychology of wealth. We're going to trace the incredible journey from the exhausting trap of stress spending all the way over to the financial freedom of index funds. Think of me as your knowledgeable older brother today. I've looked at the source material, I've broken it all down, and I'm going to guide you through exactly how your brain thinks about money, and more importantly, how you can rewire that thinking to take absolute control of your personal wealth. All right, let's dive into this.
So, why do we buy when we're stressed? Seriously, take a second. Let that sink in. We all feel the crushing weight of financial anxiety from time to time, right? You've had a brutal week at work, you're exhausted, maybe your rent just went up, and what do? You open up a tab on your phone and you buy something you don't even really need. It makes zero logical sense. If you're stressed about money, or just stressed in general, spending your hard-earned cash should be the absolute last thing you want to do. But here's the thing, our brains don't run on logic when we're anxious, they run on emotion. We are just looking for an escape hatch, and that emotional weight, that's exactly what we need to unpack first if we ever want to change our financial futures.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the stress spending trap. Second, making your money work. Third, funds versus individual stocks. And finally, your financial future. Simple, right? Let's jump straight into part 1. Section 1. The stress spending trap. The psychology of purchases.
You see, building wealth isn't just about math. It is heavily about your mindset. Before we can build a strong financial foundation, we have to understand what's actually draining our resources from an emotional standpoint. And that brings us to stress spending. This is defined as buying items to cope with emotional distress, which results in a fleeting high followed almost immediately by buyer's remorse. Picture this. It's Tuesday evening, your boss was breathing down your neck all day, the commute was a nightmare, and by the time you walk through your front door, decision fatigue has completely taken over. You feel entirely out of control of your own life. So you sit on the couch, pull out your phone, and order a new pair of shoes or maybe some gadget you've been eyeing. For exactly 10 minutes, you feel a massive rush of dopamine. You made a choice, you acquired something, you took back control. But then, the package arrives 2 days later. The credit card notification hits your inbox, and suddenly, that temporary relief vanishes, and it's replaced by a heavy, sinking feeling of anxiety. You essentially traded your future security for 10 minutes of relief. That right there is the toxic cycle of the stress spending trap.
Section 2. Making your money work. Shifting your mindset. Once we recognize that our spending is often just a psychological reaction to stress, we can stop playing defense and start playing offense. We can pivot from reactive anxiety to proactive wealth building. The ultimate goal here is to transition from the treadmill of trading time for money to building a system where money works for you. This is the financial awakening, folks. It's the philosophical bridge between just surviving and actually thriving. As long as you're only trading your physical hours for a paycheck, you're on a treadmill. And the thing about a treadmill is, no matter how fast you run, the absolute second you stop, your progress completely stops. An illness, a layoff, or just the desire to retire one day, all of these mean the treadmill halts and the income vanishes. We have to fundamentally change the system. When you're just working for money, you're trading your time for dollars. The fundamental flaw in this traditional model is that you're entirely limited by your hours. There are only 24 hours in a day. You gotta sleep, eat, and hopefully enjoy your life a little bit. Because of this, your earning potential has a hard, unyielding ceiling. It is exhausting, and quite frankly, it's the primary reason we feel that deep financial anxiety that leads to stress spending in the first place. But making your money work, that's completely different. This is passive generation. This is your money literally clocking in for a shift while you're fast asleep. It's compounding 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It doesn't take vacations, it doesn't get sick, and it certainly doesn't stress spend. When you shift your mindset away from trading time and toward generating passive growth, you completely change the trajectory of your life. The question then becomes, how do we actually do this without taking on a second full-time job trying to become a Wall Street whiz kid? Section 3. Funds versus individual stocks, the honest comparison.
Okay, so now that we want our money working for us, we need to know exactly where to put it. Let's demystify the mechanics of investing right now. Think of it this way. Individual stocks are like picking the fastest horse. An index fund is buying the entire racetrack. If you remember one single thing from this explainer, make it this analogy. When you buy individual stocks, you're trying to guess which specific company is gonna win. You're analyzing the horse, the jockey, the track conditions. If your horse trips, you lose your money. It's incredibly stressful. But an index fund? An index fund is a basket of hundreds or even thousands of top companies. You aren't betting on the fastest horse, you own the entire racetrack. So regardless of which horse wins that specific race, as long as the sport of racing continues to grow, you make money. It instantly takes all that pressure right off your shoulders.
Will we compare these two investment vehicles side by side, when really have to look at the risk, the effort, and the consistency? With individual stocks, the risk is inherently high. If that one company has a bad quarter or a product recall, your portfolio just tanks. But with index funds, the risk is massively spread out across hundreds of companies. If one fails, the hundreds of others hold you up. It's like a giant safety net. Then there's the effort. Picking stocks requires extensive daily research. Reading earnings reports, following the news, it triggers serious decision fatigue. Honestly, it's essentially a second job. Index funds, on the other hand, are delightfully passive. You literally set it, forget it, and let the broader market do its thing. And finally, consistency. Individual stocks can be wildly volatile. They go up and down on a CEO's single tweet. Index funds, however, offer steady historical growth over the long term. They mirror benchmarks like the historical average returns of the S&P 500.
Section 4. Your financial future. Putting it all together.
All right, we've talked about the emotional triggers that drain our accounts, the mindset shift required to actually build wealth, and the mechanical vehicles to get us there. Now, it's time to connect the dots. Building wealth isn't magic. It is simply a series of proactive steps. Step 1, recognize your stress spending triggers. Next time you reach for your wallet after a bad day, just pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, am I buying this because I genuinely need it or because I'm stressed out and looking for an escape? Step 2, shift to a passive wealth mindset. Remind yourself constantly that trading time for money is going to keep you on that treadmill forever. You need to build a system that outlasts your daily energy. Step 3, invest steadily in index funds. Stop trying to pick the fastest horse and just buy the racetrack. Take that money you would have stress spent on a random Tuesday night and quietly, consistently funnel it into an index fund. It is all about replacing the temporary dopamine hit of a meaningless purchase with the deep, lasting peace of mind that comes from knowing your money is working for you around the clock.
I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. Will you spend your entire life working for money, or will today be the day your money starts working for you? The choice is entirely in your hands, and now you've got the tools to make it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep growing, and start building that system. I'll see you next time.